Formula 1 raced under the lights tonight for the Singapore Grand Prix of 2024. So let's have a look at the main events in this race. Let's have a look at the highlights. Let's have a look at the 5 things that we learned from the Singapore Grand Prix in 2024. So the first thing that we learned is that Lando Norris was absolutely on another level during this race. He was untouchable from other drivers anyway. No other driver could touch him, but he touched the walls a few times during this race. I'll just get into what happened with him here. So the main thing for Norris is that he won the race as an absolute canter in the end. I think like a 25-second gap over Max Verstappen. There were stages during this race where he almost had a pit stop gap over his second place rival, and his rival in the championship as well, of course, too. Just unbelievable, really. It was a lights to flag victory for him. It was almost a grand slam as well. The only thing that stopped him actually was a fastest lap from a guy well down the field. I'll talk about him very soon. But Norris, yeah, he did get lucky in the sense that, of course, he did touch the barriers on 2 occasions. He damaged his front wing a tiny bit, with one by locking up and going a bit deep into one of the braking zones towards the end of the lap. They elected not to change his front wing. The damage was not enough to do that. There was something on there, but not enough for that. And of course, as well, heading into, I think it was where the Singapore Sling, easy for me to say, the Singapore Sling chicane used to be back in the day. He also hit the barriers with his right tyre as well, and it was a pretty significant hit. Thankfully, no damage on that, but yeah, 2 scary moments for Lando Norris, but in the end, his overall pace was absolutely on another level. Yeah, incredible, really. And of course, he led the race after the first lap as well. For the first time ever, he's actually managed to do that, so that monkey is very much off of his back. Let's talk about some of the strategies next, though. Most drivers started on the medium, some though elected to start on the soft. Surprisingly, 2 of these were Sir Lewis Hamilton and Carlos Sainz. I think Alex Albon was as well. Little shout out to Alex Albon. He could have got points today had he not retired. The only retirement of the race as well. Well, until the very, very last moments for Kevin Magnussen, but the only mechanical retirement of the race as well. So yeah, unlucky for Albon there. But yeah, it was a strategy that unfortunately did not really work out for many drivers. Hamilton and Sainz really had to come through the traffic and really fight in the closing stages just to maintain their positions. Hamilton ended up sliding all the way down to, I think in the end it was P5 for him. No, P6 actually, sorry. Carlos Sainz was about P8 or so. Again, it could have and should have been more for them. But I mean, Ferrari in a sense didn't do too bad in this race today actually though. Their strategy was not the worst for the most part. So yeah, interesting times for sure for the drivers trying the alternate strategy, but it just did not work today around Singapore. Overtaking was not too difficult around this track in fairness, but still it did cost them a lot of time in the end and performance. The third thing that we learned is that Mad Max is back, and no, this is not a slight against Max Verstappen at all, but we saw the passion and we heard the passion from him on the radio, something that was really sadly lacking in Azerbaijan last week. He thought that it was Charles Leclerc that actually undercut him in the pits and in the pit strategy, but in the end it was actually Charles Leclerc who hadn't stopped yet that had overtook him after Max Verstappen's pit stop. But we heard the passion again from him on the radio, which was really good to see. This is what we want to see from Max. We want to see him really out there and fighting, and today he did all he could do, to be honest with you. P2 was well clear of Oscar Piastri in the closing stages of the race too. Obviously miles off of Lando Norris, but Lando Norris was just on an absolute level to anybody else today. Just unbelievable, like I've already explained. So the fourth thing that we learned is that if this is to be Daniel Ricciardo's final race in Formula 1, he's gone out on a damn squib. Let's be honest here. I mean, I know some people will say, oh, but he got fastest lap, isn't that really cool? He was 18th, mate. He was 18th. He was absolutely miles off it. I love Daniel Ricciardo, I really do. And I know the strategy was terrible from Racing Bulls, and he only got that fastest lap because they pit him literally with a few laps to go, put him on the softs. It's kind of a landmark for him to get that fastest lap, but it's just an embarrassing state of affairs. Not just from RB, to be fair, because the team let him down, but he's not had a good weekend. He was miles off of Tsunoda this weekend. So yeah, not good for Ricciardo. I will really miss him in Formula 1, but honestly, you can't say that he's doing a better job than what Liam Lawson would do in that car. I see Lawson getting points in that car regularly, something that unfortunately Ricciardo has not done. So there we go. And the final thing we learned is that there's still no safety car. Singapore has had no safety car in a race for the first time in Formula 1 ever. The closest we came to getting a safety car was when Kevin Magnussen's puncture happened and we got some debris out on the track, but it was off the racing line with a few laps to go, so no safety car, no virtual safety car either as well. I think it's like 8 races in a row now without a safety car, a full safety car that is, in Formula 1, which it's got to be the first time in first time in the modern era that we've not seen the safety car in so long. But I'm liking it. I'm liking these races where these guys are just racing, lights to fly, no safety cars, no virtual safety cars for the most part in these races either. It's just full on the drivers and no one else. I love to see it. Of course, the safety car is important. We need it there, of course. But, you know, no one enjoys a safety car. It's just boring. It's just waiting for the guys to get going again. That's all you're doing, let's be honest. So I'm all for it. Let's see how far we can keep the streak going. I think it's 8 races on, like I said, so it's definitely quite a few. But yeah, guys, those are the 5 things that we learned from the Singapore Grand Prix. What were your main highlights of today, and who's your driver of the day? For me, it's got to be Lando Norris. To win by that margin of victory is absolutely sensational. But shout out as well to Nico Hulkenberg with a good performance today, and Alonso as well, actually, in my opinion. So yeah, there we go, guys. See us. We'll bring you some more content on Formula 1 very soon here on the F1Chronicle.com. So yeah, see you very soon.